Everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of Women of Community Banking podcast. I've got Eddie with me, joining me from the beautiful state of Florida. So, Eddie, firstly, thank you for taking your time out to do this podcast with us today. How are you doing? Good after all travels. The last 3 weeks. This week is slower, easier moving back at home. So all good. By the way, we missed each other for I think 2 weeks. I was in Florida. I didn't know that she's based. I mean, we didn't get introduced by then. We missed each other seeing the last time, but the next time, sure, we'll grab a coffee. Quick introduction: who AD is. AD is a very respected leader in Fairwinds. AD is senior vice president of a service delivery Fairwinds based in Orlando. Been with the credit union for the last almost 23 years. She's been there for 23 years. A few interesting thing about AD, apart from work, we talk about work is we have a shared interest about food, right? She's a good cook. But she's a good cook, but a bad photographer. I'm a bad cook and a bad photographer. So at least some intersection. She's passionate about writing a cookbook. That's interesting, which I want to do, but I don't know how to do it. Plus, she's a certified professional personal trainer as well as fitness enthusiast, right? She wants to do a bunch of things, but as you know, with leadership role of credit unions, it's difficult to juggle things. She has two kids, one daughter and one son, who are amazing. Eri, I don't know if I did justice to your introduction, but if you want to add something, please feel free because I cannot, encapsulate 45 years within 45 seconds. That's difficult.
No, you did great, Anurag. Just one clarification. So I'm Senior Vice President of Digital Delivery at Fairwinds, but we definitely
What did I say?
in there. You said service delivery, but it's close. Very, very close.
I'm so sorry about that. Absolutely. So let's start the podcast then, right? Let's start the podcast with the first question. Let's talk about your journey. What has been your journey so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to tell people that I'm a former teacher turned banker. My life goals were never to work in banking. That wasn't on my radar, actually. When I was growing up, I knew from a young age I was going to be a teacher. So I went to school at the University of Central Florida for teaching. And I got a job as an intern at Fairwinds Credit Union. So that's how I kind of got my foot in the door. And really the goal was just to pay my way through college so I didn't have to take out much student loans. And then I was going to go on my way and teach. And I really loved it when I was working here. And I was sad to leave. And I did leave and go teach for a bit. I taught and I tutored. But as many teachers nowadays will tell you, it can be really tough. The politics or the bureaucracy of teaching have you spending more of your time focused on that than really being able to make the impact that you went into teaching for in the first place. So for me, I started to, no longer see that as my long-term career. And to be honest, I felt completely lost. So when I left teaching, it was like, well, now what, right? I wanted to do that ever since I was a little girl, and that's what I went to school for. So I called Fairwinds back up again and said, hey, I'm kind of in between here figuring out what I want to do. Do you have any openings? And I was really fortunate that they took me back. And I thought it was just going to be kind of like a short-term landing place. Let me figure out what I'm doing with my life and, we'll go on from there. And I think what really hooked me is a position opened up in our training department. So I thought, okay, this is the perfect combination of my teaching experience and then the former banking experience. So let me give that a try. And I absolutely fell in love with it. It has been one of my favorite roles that I've had at Fairwinds, being able to kind of connect those dots for all of the new folks coming in, learning banking for the first time, or even seasoned professionals who were just joining the credit union space who maybe had been with banks for their whole career. So I had a chance to work in training for a couple years, but from there, I've held positions kind of all across the credit union at this point. I was able to start our first retirement department. We didn't have anyone managing IRAs. So I kind of got to establish the structure for that and then passed off to somebody else. And from there, I went into operations, supporting the front line and back office. I did project management, product management, and then more recently, I've been in the digital space. So I manage contact center, digital accounts, digital lending, and then our partnership with Dave Ramsey on the management team level. So it's been exciting, fun, and something different all the time.
I'm sure. I mean, you do so many things, so definitely it'll be fun, right? I mean, you hardly have time to breathe. So, another common ground is my mother was a teacher. My mother was a teacher for 30 plus years. And this podcast is a tribute to her because, she spent her time teaching young girls. So it's all about us honoring her. Yeah. So
Very
thank
cool.
you, thank you for what you've done, in your career. And, I think exactly teaching is something which is very important, right?
Mhm.
Interesting.
I mean, people are teaching no matter what. I think I found that that still is true, right? So no matter what role you are in business or in
Yeah,
credit union, when you manage people, you're always teaching because anything that could be seen as like a performance conversation really is more of like a teachable moment. And it's okay,
sure.
that didn't work. Let's redirect. Let's try this instead. And like the value comes from being able to show somebody a different way or maybe show them a new skill and then see them just take off with it from there and be successful. So that's always really rewarding. You're teaching no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you need to be always a good communicator and a good teacher for any profession, be it credit unions, be it consulting, be it working for banks. So that's a common table stakes. Absolutely. Now you've spent almost obviously 23 years right now. That's pretty long,
Yes.
and obviously you are very good, career progress in the credit union, and hence you've stayed over there. So what do you think? What keeps you passionate about what you do?
So that's easy. There's a few things. One we kind of already alluded on or alluded to, which is there's always a new challenge or a problem to solve. That's actually one of the great things about smaller community banks or about credit unions is you get to wear a lot of different hats in your
Mhm.
career. So, if you're curious and you are someone who wants to be part of the solution, there's always something new to keep you,
Sure.
engaged. So
Mhm.
that's the other one is the culture that's built here at Fairwinds. The culture is so strong here. You'll see a lot of folks who join Fairwinds, they leave, and then they come back because it's just different out there. You're not going to find another place to
Sure.
work that it really does feel like everyone's connected to the mission and moving and rowing in the same boat
Mhm.
together. In fact, we have something called what we call our 20-year club, and it consists of anyone in the organization who's worked at the credit union for 20 plus years. And I think last year we're definitely over 75. Maybe we even hit 80 that are now in this club. There's people who have been working here for over 40 years. So that really kind of speaks to the culture that you're in. But then I think the other thing for me too is on a personal level, when you can see change happening in your own personal life as a result of the place that you work, it just is a natural extension of kind of being connected to the mission and why you're doing what you're doing for the members or the customers that you're serving. So what I mean by that is Fairwinds is really unique in our brand message. We are a financial institution that doesn't want people to have debt. And we really mean it. We say no to certain products that other people offer because it's not going to put someone in a good long term
Sure.
financial position. We
Sure.
incentivize and reward our crew members, which is what we call our employees, for offering products that align with financial freedom, that aren't going to get people into further debt. For me, I grew up in a household where we didn't have a lot of money. It was a single parent household. We struggled quite a bit. And the trajectory of my own life could have looked completely different had I not been working for a place that took my own personal finance just as seriously as it takes it
Yeah.
for our
Yeah.
members. So, I mean, for me, it's like, how can you not be passionate about that when you've seen change happen in your own life as a result?
No, I think our personal experiences are always guiding factors to what we do in life. I mean, same even I come from a very small town back in India, so I keep on telling this like a broken record. So where I come from, it does. I mean, it's not a way to define how small the place is, but yes, it still does not have a Starbucks. We got our first, I think, MacD 4 years back. The nearest TR is 350 miles away. So that
Wow.
smaller place is where I'm from in India. I'm not from shiny Mumbai or Bangalore or Delhi's other world. No, from a
Mhm.
very small town, and I can so well relate to you that you also had a not struggling, but yeah, difficult childhood. I think the best things are always made out of difficulty. I mean, there's something which I follow, or rather, believe that it takes years to build a Ferrari, but it takes a couple of days to build a Toyota. So that's what the mindset is, and you've done that. So
Yeah. And
we are
anything
talking.
that is really worth celebrating, I think, comes at a cost or
Sure.
hard work, right? Like if it comes easy to you, you don't appreciate it as much. So I firmly believe that too.
Absolutely. I mean, otherwise you take things for granted, right? I mean, you need to be serious and grateful about what you've achieved and to the universe for sure. So, yep, that's pretty much on the same track. Okay, interesting. Lot of commonalities. Now let's talk about work a bit. Otherwise, this podcast will just be about talking about ourselves for sure, right? So again, sorry. I mean, I still don't know how did I miss introducing you with a different designation. I'm really sorry about that. I mean, I'm like, what's wrong with me? It's Tuesday morning. I need more coffee. Maybe I still didn't have my morning coffee. So guys, sorry about that. My question is, across since you lead digital delivery, right? How do you think has Fairwinds digital experience changed for members over the last few years? And since you're leading right now, so you'll be in a better place to answer it.
Well, I think the fintechs of the world are forcing us to change at a
Sure,
more rapid pace. And so members, customers' expectations have really increased in terms of what they expect. And there's
sure,
been some surprises along the way too. So one of the things that we try to do is make sure that members, no matter where they are, whether they live near a branch footprint or not, that they can do everything that they can do in a branch. So over the last
sure.
couple of years, we've really been working down a list of those digital gaps and trying to fill them. So now, today, compared to a couple of years ago, you can do any sales experience you want to online. You can get a new
Mm-hmm,
mortgage,
mm-hmm,
a
mm-hmm.
car loan. You can even open business accounts online. So that I think is definitely a shift. And not only are we doing that, we're doing that at so our digital memberships are outpacing our branch memberships in total every single month. And that's been a big shift for our members. The other thing with that, though, that I think has been really interesting is we've been investing in technology
Mm-hmm.
that makes it easier for members to self serve, but just
Sure.
as easy to get a human when they want one most. Because
Yeah.
what we really believe is that the digital experiences should give members the ability to talk to a human when they want to, not the opposite, right? Like it doesn't exist just to turn everything into a digital or a virtual experience. I think people are actually craving human
Mm-hmm,
connection more
mm-hmm.
now because we have so much digital technology out there and they're used to interacting with AI or with bots of various kinds, no matter where they go about their business. It's actually rare to speak to a human nowadays when you're trying to get things done. So we try to free up capacity so that when a member does need us for something more high touch, like fraud or the death of a loved one, or planning for retirement, that they have full access to someone and can still make that human connection.
Yeah, I think that's what I keep struggling, right? I mean, when people talk about everything will be digital, I'm like, I don't know. No, I mean, I'm almost a zillennial. I'm not a Gen Z, but obviously like just the starting spectrum of millennial. So I consider myself more of a Gen Z than millennial because I can attach to that side more. So if you ask me, right, I strongly feel that having a branch presence around really helps. I think that's even a survey. That's even a survey that happened a few months back that Gen Zs and Zillennials are more uh, ready to take up a financial relationship if they can see a branch nearby. By that, I'm not telling that I'm not a Chime customer. I'm a Chime customer and I love Chime. But on the other hand, I mean, hypothetically, Chime does not have it. Hypothetically, if Chime would have been doing mortgages, I wouldn't have gone to a Chime for a mortgage. I would have gone to a credit union or a bank whom I can see and feel for sure.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's
that,
it. It gives just whether or not someone ever plans on walking into a physical location,
yeah.
it gives this illusion of it being real. And so that really is the challenge is for people who don't live near a branch, can you make banking feel just as real in your digital experience? So that's where we're
Sure.
trying to kind of flip things on a dime and think differently and kind of get back to the basics where you've got digital tools for anything that you want it for, but you have a human connection and you feel it when you're banking with us digitally. That's hard to achieve in a digital space.
Yeah, I mean that philosophy is what keep credit unions so special. And I've chosen the other side of the world, moved from banks to credit unions, and I'm
Mhm.
really happy about it. I've done this shift 3 years back, so great. One quick question about maybe let's talk about one project or one engagement that you're really proud of, in your journey at Fairwinds?
Sure. So, I mean, I'm going to kind of piggyback on that former topic. Something that we embarked on probably 18 months or so ago now
Mm-hmm.
is in support of our nationwide membership.
Mm-hmm.
We realized that we had a gap because our digital new members were being onboarded across our branch network by crew members who, didn't live or work anywhere near where these members lived or worked. And they weren't in touch or in tune with the needs of someone who's strictly digital. And what also was holding us back was when you have your onboarding spread across all of your branches, you don't get a chance to hear firsthand the friction that people are having in their digital experiences at scale. Because I, as a digital member, might tell this one person who onboarded me and they don't tell anyone else. Then another
Mm-hmm.
person tells someone else. Unless that's concentrated and you're hearing
Mm-hmm.
it day in and day
Mm-hmm.
out
Mm-hmm.
with a high level of frequency, you don't realize where some of your gaps are that you really need to solve and the ones that are causing the most friction for members. So we embarked on a journey to redesign our entire digital onboarding process by centralizing it to one key area that onboards every single digital member. And then from there, we started prioritizing a list of the top friction points and then collaborating with cross-functional teams like IT and marketing and digital banking to fix the problems that members were experiencing firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
And then we introduced little human touches here and there. So every single new member gets a phone call from a real person. And the feedback that we started receiving was kind of shocking because it's such a basic human thing, right? To just hear somebody else's voice. And we've always had this assumption that a person who starts in a digital channel always wants every interaction to be digital. And what we were finding was it just wasn't true. It kind of shocked them and, in a good way, surprised them and brought back the basics of good customer service. So
Mm-hmm.
what we saw is over the course of the last 18 months, our NPS or our Net Promoter Score has increased so that it's 85 plus every single month. We
Wow.
took our services per new member on the digital side from like 1.3 to 1.9. And we're now opening, like I said, more digital memberships than we are branch memberships. So it's been just fun and exciting because you could see the real impact that it had. And it wasn't expensive changes. It was just kind of reorganizing and focusing where it matters.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, right? I mean, NPS can be one measure, but proportion of new members coming in higher from a digital channels versus branch, that's a huge lift and change for a credit union,
Mm-hmm.
because that's not really what credit unions stand for. I mean, usually, even with my experiences with all credit unions I work, most of the origination still happen at branches. Yeah, they might be influenced by digital, but they're still walking to the branches to open even their first checking account, right? So that's a big shift. Congratulations on that. I mean, so you almost mastered the digital playbook. We should talk about this further. I mean, I would love to explore this. This is interesting.
It's been
Absolutely.
fun. And there's more to come, right? Like we're just kind of scratching the surface because, you talked about generations and the generations that are even younger now, those that are in elementary and, middle high school today, what
Mm-hmm.
they're going to expect is going to be completely different than even the millennials that we're trying to catch up to serving in the
Mm-hmm.
way they want. So it is just going to be an area that's constantly changing at all times.
No, absolutely. I was not born with iPhone and iPad, but obviously, the generation now are born with iPhone and iPad, pretty much, right? So that's such a huge shift. I was still using the Nokia phone for dialing numbers when I was kids, so that's a huge change and a
Right.
huge shift. I mean, you can literally have your entire bank within a palm, is what I believe, right? You can do everything within a palm.
Yeah, but it's also, I realize that it's causing a lot of anxiety for younger people too, in terms of where they get their advice. And I wonder if we're going to see a shift in how people prefer to get their advice. You see, like a lot of them are going on to TikTok or,
Yeah.
Instagram and finding all this financial advice out there that's obviously very misguided or misdirected, or it
Yeah.
conflicts from one influencer or one person to the
Yeah.
next. And so it can just be very overwhelming. And I think we're going to see a shift of people returning back to like the voices that they trust, whether that be like their local banker, or honestly, I think it's just going to be that connection to where their family banks, right? Like where mom and dad or their grandparents or whoever else banks, and they're going to trust the voices of their peers more than they're going to trust what they're seeing on social media.
Or maybe the other, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, so
Complete your
it's
thought.
good news for us, right?
For sure. Or maybe the other way works, right? The credit unions go to TikTok and talk about financial awareness. I mean, that can be the other way, right?
Hmm.
Because that's where you, meet your members where they are. That's what the mission all of us believe in, right? And I think the younger cohort of people are obviously much more active on other media. I mean, take our example. I don't remember opening Facebook for the last like at least 15 days. I check Facebook maybe, once in a blue moon. Whereas my mom and dad are glued to Facebook every single day. And on the other hand, my sister, she does not even know that Facebook exists almost, right? She's a TikTok and Instagram baby. She does not even know what Facebook. I think she had a Facebook account long time back, but she does not even know how does it even operate now. So
Right.
things have changed so much, right?
Yeah, and
And preferences have
it is
changed.
hard to keep up and to figure out what channel is the best way to resonate with
Yeah.
and connect with people. I think about younger folks now too. My son doesn't text anybody. It's all
Yeah.
Snapchat, and we're obviously not chatting our members, not yet, anyways. So you just think like, how am I going to connect with people? It is hard to kind of meet everyone exactly where they're at with all those different, generational gaps and things.
Might be you have to Snapchat your members in the next 10 years. Otherwise, you're not getting them, right? Imagine personal banker Snapchatting members and asking for details.
Yeah, we
Things
might
can
be a
happen.
little
Things
slow
can
to adopt that. By the time we catch up, let's be real, these kids will be on to something else.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Let's talk about your journey a bit more, right? So, obviously, this podcast is about celebrating women leadership and celebrating journey, right? Not only just seeing the fancy designation that you have right now, but we want to know the person behind it. What made you reach that level in the last 23 years? So, talking about challenges, right? What do you think was the biggest challenge being women in credit unions 23 years back?
I thought about that kind of when I was prepping for this, and I have to say, I don't know that the challenges are as much related to being a woman in financial service industry as it is to just being a woman in the corporate workplace in general.
Sure.
So
Sure.
there is, I think, from a young age, this unspoken expectation as a woman to kind of soften your voice, right? To not be too much or to not come across as, threatening if you are outspoken. It's just this fine line, this dance that you do, and you don't even realize you're doing it. It's in subtle ways. I think women are more prone to apologizing for things that they
Yeah.
don't need to be apologizing for, or to deliver direct communication, but to kind of laugh about it or to justify it in some kind of way. And it's like, well, where does that come from? I don't have the answer to that question, but I'd say one of the transformations that I have tried to make, and I've had some really great people come alongside me to help with this over the years, is to realize that you have something important to contribute, you have value to bring to the table. And there is a perspective that women bring because in their personal lives, women are often caretakers for
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
We juggle a lot in our personal lives, and that brings another set of unique experiences, perspectives to the boardroom or to the meeting room that you're in to help you connect with your clients more, to connect with your customers or your members on a deeper level. And so there's a lot of value to combining all voices together.
Sure.
And I have tried to stand in that confidence more over the last couple of years and to feel good about what I have to bring to the table. So I really think it's more just about that. It's about developing your voice and your confidence and seeing how your unique perspective can bring something to the table.
Very well summed up, right? It's not only just financial services, but across the globe, across the ecosystem, we need more women leaders. And why will my first question, why will women be apologetic? Like, no, literally, it's equal, and I owe so much to specific women in my life. And without them, I wouldn't be sitting in New York today, looking at Manhattan and interviewing a C-level leader. I come from a very small town, right? So again, thank you everyone for whatever you've done for this person. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too about if we think towards the future. So women outlive men still right now. Typically, we live a little bit longer. So the likelihood that you're going to find yourself as a female in a position to be the sole financial contributor, whether that's for children on your own, by yourself as a single woman, or, as a widower or what have you, that likelihood's pretty high. And women are sometimes less likely to seek out financial advice, and they usually feel more comfortable doing it from another female. So it is vitally important that we continue to have, strong female leaders just as much as strong male leaders in the financial services industry. Because what resonates or is relatable for one person is going to be different for the next. So you just have to have a good balance.
Sure. I mean that is very well taken. One last question about advice. If you were to share one advice for any female who's starting their journey out there in financial services, right? What would that be?
I really think it's some of the things that we already talked about is to just be bold and have an opinion and feel free to state that perspective and realize that it has value no matter what room you're in. People will notice. And the other thing would be just kind of surround yourself with other females that you look up to, admire, respect their careers, and seek them out for advice, mentorship, and see where you can hold each other accountable and encourage one another. I think that's really important.
Thank you, Eri, for this time today with us. I mean, we really appreciate your, I would say, take on the entire ecosystem, and it was great sharing your journey. I appreciate again. Thank you. Thank you for spending your time with us.
Great to meet you as
You know,
well.
absolutely pleasure.
Next time
Thank
you're in
you.
Orlando, you come pay us a visit. We'll either get coffee or we'll go get some Indian food that you were telling me you enjoy, and we'll have a great time. Good conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.